Atheist Nomads, episode 261. The Bible Says What? With Mike Wiseman.
The podcast you're about to listen to includes cursing and talking about hoo-haws. Please be advised.
Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin. Joining me, as usual, is my lovely wife, Lauren.
Hello.
And we are joined today by Mike Wiseman from the Bible Says What podcast. Mike, welcome to Atheist Nomads.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
And we're going to go ahead and have Mike with us for the whole show, not just do an interview at the end. Since he actually talks to religious leaders, and I have made a point of not doing that since dropping out of the seminary, he might provide some interesting insights. So
aren't you worried about being trapped in the echo chamber, church?
But yeah, I am a little out of it. My mom had surgery today, and she is doing well so far, but it is still nerve-wracking with major surgeries that are unexpected. So I am not quite my normal self. But yeah, we will press on. And Mike, tell us in 30 seconds about your show.
It's a weekly podcast that captures my conversations with religious leaders. I set up interviews, I make phone calls, and I ask them the tough questions. A lot of them aren't able to actually continue the conversation, which makes it fun. But it's an atheist versus Christian style show. So, all
right. Actually, I've got a friend from college who's a pastor now who has a new member of his church who likes debating atheists, and asked if I was interested in debating him. And I was like, I don't have time for that shit. If you want, I could get you in touch with him.
Fantastic. Yeah, please send him my way.
More fodder.
And have you talked to Matt Slick yet?
No. Oh, man, that'd be a good one.
He is a local one here in Boise. He loves talking to atheists.
He's such an ass. He's such a polite ass.
Oh, man. He talks.
Yeah, I'll have to.
Oh, yeah. He crashes our atheist meetups periodically.
Really?
Yeah, he brings his apologetic students.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I'll definitely try and get him on the show. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and we actually have had a Slick on the podcast, but it wasn't him. It was his daughter. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Dustin Off the Degree. And this one is kind of inspired by our guest in his show, talking to religious leaders. I realize that I haven't gone through the differences in Christian clergy. Because, and this is kind of a worthwhile one because there's a lot of misconceptions and assumptions that get made by atheists, and you will hear a lot of times in like an atheist podcast and on blogs, overgeneralizations about pastors that do not fit for the situation at all. And on the broad scale, I'm going to break them into two groups. These are the professional clergy that are actually educated, is group one. And group two are uneducated clergy or pseudo-clergy that are just kind of thrown into it. And we're going to kind of see a little bit of some similarities between those within each group in how they're run. So we're going to start off with one of the ones that people are most familiar with, and that's Catholic priests. To become a priest, you need to be generally unmarried, take a vow of celibacy, earn a undergraduate, and then go through a Master Divinity program, which will take anywhere from 2.5 to 3 years. On some of the, and with M.Div programs, and I'm just going to say M.Div from here on out, or just call it seminary. It is generally considered to be typically a 3-year graduate program. If you work through summers, in some cases you can get it done in 2.5 years. There are some that go 4 years, but it is a terminal master's level graduate program, professional graduate program. And it is actually really good education if you're going into that job, because they teach you how to run a church, they teach you more about your religion itself, and they teach you how to try to help people. Because it's not very helpful to send people out to try to help people live their lives if you don't teach them how to actually help people be good, decent, normal people. And so that education is actually really important. So with Catholic priests, they have a tendency to join... Oh, and you can feel free to jump in with any questions at any point. or just any comments that you might have.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so with Catholic priests, they go through their undergrad, usually at a Catholic university. They go through seminary. They often join a religious order. Actually, I think they have to join a religious order before they get their ordination. And we will get into Catholic orders another time, but it is a fascinating topic in and of itself.
Indeed.
Oh man, they're weird.
Yeah.
They are so weird. And so these priests, in addition to taking the vow of celibacy, they also have to take the vow of poverty. So theoretically, a Catholic priest should have no property and no money.
Huh. How does that work for the Pope?
The Pope also theoretically has no money and no property. He just happens to control one of the richest organizations in the world.
Well, he's got that hat too.
Yes. So, your basic living expenses are all taken care of. Your housing's provided for you. Food's provided. Transportation's provided. And usually Catholic priests will get a small stipend to try to help with incidental expenses. And since they all wear the same uniforms, clothing is also provided. And with that mix, theoretically a priest shouldn't need anything. Now, in rare cases, Catholic lay people can become priests if they are married already. This is rare, and it requires special permission from the bishop. Granted, to become a priest, you get ordained by a bishop, so you have to already have approval from a bishop. And it usually requires working up through kind of the lay structure as a deacon first. And then on occasion, if there's a great enough need for priests in an area, they will let in married men. The Eastern Orthodox churches, they also have professional clergy requiring an undergraduate degree and a Master of Divinity. And you can be married, widowed, or celibate and become a priest. Once you are a priest, you can never get married again, which means if your wife leaves you, you can't remarry. If your wife dies, you must become celibate. And also, if you or your wife were ever married prior to becoming priests, you can't become a priest.
No divorcees?
Nope.
Wah, wah, wah.
And other than their hats being kind of different, and, Orthodox priests being able to be married, another big difference between the two is Orthodox priests are expected to have beards, and Catholic priests are not allowed to have beards.
That's no fun.
Those two things were part of what caused the schism.
Man, people will fight over anything.
The Great Schism was basically over, can priests be married? Can priests have beards? And does the Pope outrank the Archbishop of Constantinople?
Yeah.
That last
dumb.
one's like a footnote.
It was the original beard war.
Before it was cool.
Oh man, in the Eastern Orthodox Church, beards are really cool. And you look at the Orthodox bishops and then the patriarchs, their beards are just, almost as good as yours, Mike.
Oh man, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Don't be.
But for the Orthodox, though, they do also have the rule that if you go the monastic route and become a priest monk, you have to be celibate, and you can't be married and be a bishop or higher. You can either be celibate or be a widow to become a bishop.
And to be able to wield a bow staff. Pretty sure that's in there. I'm pretty sure warrior monk is in there somewhere.
Next we have the Protestant professional ministers. In most cases, with these groups, they are... Actually, no, I'm going to say all cases with this way of defining it. They all have a bachelor's degree. All or nearly all have a Master of Divinity from a seminary, usually from that denomination. Unitarians also kind of fit into this group, where you do need to be educated with a seminary education. Just the Unitarian seminary teaches a lot more than just Jesus.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
But the concept is with most of these, the expectation is that pastors be married. The biggest reason is that they don't want pastors
fiddling kids.
No, that's not the concern. That happens anyway. It's
strange.
They don't want pastors hooking up with church members, the adult church members.
Thank you for quoting that. Yes, adult
height limit.
Plus, it's like a twofer, right? So you get the pastor and the pastor's wife, and the pastor's wife ends up getting sucked into doing a whole bunch of stuff. So
right. When you get into like the Salvation Army, which I don't think has a seminary, the couple are clergy, not just one, but that is kind of a rare exception. Generally, it is men only in all of them, but there are exceptions where women are allowed either in a limited role or in a few cases even an equal role. There are a few denominations that will even allow openly gay and lesbian ministers and bishops, like the Episcopal Church, which has actually caused a schism in the Episcopal Church.
Word of the day. Taking note. Schism.
A great reason for churches to split is whether or not or who your minister can fuck.
One way of putting it.
Yeah.
It's a pretty important thing, really.
Important
from the minister's point of view.
Now, generally speaking, the Protestant professional ministers are also paid reasonable salaries. The expectation being that you don't want a pastor to struggle and be distracted from the work that they have to do. In some cases, they try to pay enough to make sure the pastor's wife doesn't need to work outside of the home / outside of the church, so they can get the almost freebie without actually paying two salaries. And in a lot of cases, the idea is that the pastor should be making something comparable to the members, so as to not create jealousy issues with the membership.
Yeah, because it's no good if he makes too much, because then you're like, well, what's even in this for?
Yeah.
For the money.
Well, like, so for example, in some churches, Baptists are a good example of this, where they're all independent. Not all Baptist churches actually have professional pastors. They often will base the pastor's salary on the average salary of the members. So basically take the tithe times 10.
Be a pastor in a rich neighborhood.
Average it. And yeah, if you're in a church full of doctors and the average salary is $250,000 a year and you're the senior pastor, you're going to do okay in a Baptist church. But if all your members are farmers, you're fucked.
They be living like Jesus.
Getting zucchini dropped off at your doorstep. In lieu of payment. Have this grocery bag full of zucchini.
And so with the professional ministers, generally speaking, it's after you go through your undergrad. In some cases, you can get hired on as a junior pastor, often serving as a youth pastor, before you go to the seminary, and then that church will send you to the seminary. Like I had some friends in college who got hired directly out of college. They went and served as youth pastors, and then they got sent to the seminary. I didn't get hired straight out of college, so I went straight to the seminary on my own. Still paying those debts, though. It sucks. But once you complete that education, then usually you have to serve a while as a pastor before you actually get ordained as a minister. And at that point, you are determined to be worthy of being a pastor with all the rights and responsibilities. And that ordination is actually a important thing, which is one reason why denominations that have separate but equal women pastors, the women are really fighting to get full ordination, such as in the Adventist Church. Titles for all of these, pastor applies in every case. Father only applies to Catholic and Orthodox priests.
That's just creepy.
It's a term of endearment.
Yeah, it's creepy.
But yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it also
You're not my dad.
Shut up, you're not my dad.
Well, and it's especially creepy when you think about all the big scandal
all the gross things that these priests do. Ugh, that's just nasty, man.
Yeah. Well, heck, the Pope in Spanish? A lot of the Latin languages is it Santa Papa Santa? But he's Papa.
It's not douchebag with a hat.
No, he's the Holy Papa. In English, the Holy Father.
I was going to say, doesn't that mean holy potato?
No, that means daddy.
Okay.
Yeah. It is really creepy. More properly, Catholic Orthodox priests and some Protestant ministers are called reverend. Protestants get weird with consistency with this because they all protest to different levels. And so most, if not all, protest calling a priest father because, no, God is the father, not the priest. You can call the priest brother, but not father. Protestants tend to also believe in the priesthood of all believers, in which case, the priest the pastor isn't higher than you, just helping you.
Oh, okay. More equal footing?
Yeah. The title reverend, which does apply to Catholic and Orthodox priests, also gets applied to a lot of Protestants, except for the ones who decide only God is reverend. So calling a person reverend is wrong.
Isn't the same thing for father?
Uh-huh.
So
it's just some take it further and include reverend. So
some people have to ruin it for everyone.
But for an example on it, I
want to be called Saint Papa.
When
I'm still pretty sure it means potato.
I'll be the same potato.
I think it's okay. Papas is potato. Papa is daddy.
Nice.
But Catholic priest or Orthodox priests, when they get ordained, they have to be chosen by the whole church. So everybody present all has to yell out, if it's Greek Orthodox in Greek, he is worthy.
Okay.
He is worthy of being called reverend. So then you get the Protestant.
So what's that in Greek?
I don't have it in front of me.
Come on, man. You're the Greek.
I was hoping to hear it.
I haven't looked at anything in Greek in more than 11 years.
Fine.
Yeah.
I'll let you have that one.
So then you get the Protestant uneducated ministers who often it's in Pentecostal churches, poorer Baptist churches, the Mormon church, where they pick a layperson who they think is extra godly and often throw them a book and say, here, you're the pastor now.
Like my grandpa.
Good luck.
Or in the case of Mormons, you're the bishop. And then they sometimes will provide a little bit of pay, often don't. Like in the case of bishops, they don't pay in the Mormon church. Some of the poorer Baptist churches or some of the Pentecostal groups, they will pay their pastors a little bit, but not a salary. And then there's cult leaders.
They're the ones who are they're rolling in it. They love that money.
There is a surprising tendency for people who don't get a theological education to be a lot more likely to start cults. Where a crazy person who couldn't figure out how to get through the program, or somebody who is too devout but still couldn't get through the program, decides to have that usually he has a direct connection to God, and that everybody should follow him.
Of course.
And there is a tendency to see that more often in groups that don't have a professional clergy.
Or an education.
Because of the lack of education. Education tempers people, even if you're educating people in bullshit. If you at least teach people how to handle the bullshit, they are less likely to stink quite so much.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Anyway,
Poop
so
jokes.
On that note, we're going to take a break, and then we got some news. Atheist Nomads is proudly brought to you by listeners just like you. You can find out how you can become a patron at patreon.com/atheistnomads. That's patreon.com/atheistnomads.
My name is Tony from the Conversations with God podcast. It's a podcast where I have open, frank, and deep discussions with the creator of the universe, God. In this short clip you're about to hear, we ask God a very deep philosophical question from episode 8. Louise has emailed in to the show and she asks, God, if you unscrew your belly button, does your bum fall off?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, I suppose I'd better give it a try, hey, Tony. Hold on. Oh, no! Oh, no. Oh, no, my bum's fallen off.
There you go, Louise. The answer to your question is yes. If you unscrew your belly button, your bum will fall off. On Twitter and Facebook, @ConvoWithGodPod. The show is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
On Conversation with God, episode 21, you can hear my question to God, and should be worth checking out. All right, so for our first news story, we have a local one. A Caldwell mother has now been arrested after her husband was already arrested because he was sexually abusing their children, and she was actively hiding it. Like, majorly actively hiding it.
Yeah, what's worse? Ugh.
So he got 4 felony counts of lewd conduct with a minor under 16. That's Lester Keister, Sarah Keister. Got 1 felony count of injury to a child on suspicion that she did not report the abuse.
Their last name is Keister?
They're not,
Yes.
Yes, it is.
All right.
They are the Keisters. They are members of the Followers of Christ, the faith healing cult that is actively murdering children through medical neglect with the full permission of the state of Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a group that won't take their kids to the doctor, they're also not likely to call the cops. Instead, what they tried to do was drive out the demon that was causing Lester to sexually abuse his children.
Wait, his last name is Keister and his name is Lester.
Uh-huh.
Lester the molester. Seriously?
Lester the molester.
Is this
Keister.
Real?
This is
does
real.
not sound real.
He is actually a cousin of Linda Martin,
Oh my god.
who we've had on the show to talk about this group
Yeah,
back
yeah.
like episode 99.
God, I mean, it's a creepy group, but being named Lester, that's just...
Lester the molester Keister.
Oh,
He's Lester Keister Jr.
Oh, I don't know if that makes it worse.
So apparently like father, like son. But so yeah, the county sheriff has confirmed they are part of this group. He has also denounced the group for murdering their children. He doesn't use quite that harsh of language, but I prefer to call it child sacrifice, which is
because that's more subtle.
It's what they're doing. They get their ticket to heaven stamped by letting their kids die.
One of the senators, Senator Jim Rice, in support of that bill that gets people off for killing their kids if they pray for them, he said that I think it's fundamentally wrong to criminalize people for the free exercise of their religion. He forgets about the victims involved. You know,
I mean, that sounds good on paper. That sounds good as an ideology, but when it comes to your kids dying of strep or pneumonia, that's just
disgusting.
stupid.
Yeah. Okay, so Linda Martin is his second cousin. Everybody in that group is second cousins, basically. It's more of a family bush than a tree.
Oh, gross.
And she is quoted in this article and shared it with us on Twitter. So, yeah, that I believe that connection there. But man, what she told the Idaho Press Tribune, this doesn't happen in every family. I don't want to say all the people in the church were bad. They were very kind to me. They were very good to me. But it's just their belief system that allows a lot of abuse to happen, and they need to reevaluate it, and there needs to be change.
How many do we not know about? How many in that church are being abused?
Oh, man. Well, in the case of this family, both of their daughters.
All 4. I read that. It said 4 daughters, yeah, in the bottom of the article.
And, also another one. Uh-huh.
Yep.
And, okay, yeah.
He kind of went crazy.
In his case, yeah, and a 4th. Yep. So, probably a 4th. So definitely 2, probably 3, probably 4. So using this as an example, 100% are getting, well, okay, I guess in this example, 80% since Linda didn't get any sexual abuse.
It's terrible.
Conservative groups like that breed it. When you make it going against the family going against the church, and going against the church going against God, then nobody's going to report that to the authorities.
Yeah, it's that herd mentality. Don't muck with my herd. This is my herd.
Mm-hmm.
We deal with our own problems. Stay out of it. God's the one that handles us.
Yeah,
it's terrible. It's toxic.
Right.
It's cultish.
Cult. Let's just call it what it is. It's a freaking cult.
Oh yeah. It is a child sacrifice cult.
Yeah, blood cults
that believes molesting your 4 daughters to be being consumed by a demon.
That's just nuts, man. At what point do you just stop and go, oh, wait a minute, I should probably help out my kid?
Uh-huh.
No, I'm just going to pray harder because, it's my fault. I'm not praying hard enough.
Yeah. The way Sarah tried to get him to stop molesting their children was by praying for the demon to leave Lester the molester and trying to keep him busy with other tasks.
That's sad.
It's terrible.
So prayer and a honey-do list.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
No.
So much.
Ah, man.
Poor kids, man. Those poor kids.
The United States House of Representatives voted 217 to 199 to make it harder for churches to get punished for endorsing political candidates by specifically requiring the IRS to get permission from the IRS commissioner.
They're going to have to bug their boss every time they need to look into this.
Not their boss, the head of the agency.
Ugh. Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
I'm sure he loved that vote.
Now, okay, saying that 217 to 199 was the vote, this provision had gotten buried into a budget bill, which is how everything gets passed anymore.
Terrible.
And... Well, Republicans want to get rid of the Johnson Amendment because they know they're losing the demographic battle, and they know that if pastors rile up their members, they can get voters.
Yeah, but aren't they already going to vote in the same way anyways?
They'll be less likely to actually vote.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a lot more about driving voter turnout than actually influencing votes, but it can also influence votes. Yeah, if you've got a group like the Mormons, when the bishop says... you must vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah, you're not going to say no.
Especially since then the bishop would be able to ask them who they voted for president when they're up for their interview for renewing their temple recommend card. And if you can lose that for voting for the wrong candidate, well, you're basically out of the church.
And the community.
Exactly.
Terrible. God, religion sucks.
Yeah.
I guess that's why they go door to door like the vacuum salesman.
Well, I suck right in.
Because they suck. That's good. I'm pretty clever.
So, yeah, Trump...
Dustin,
yeah.
Aren't I clever?
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
Very. President Trump has promised to obliterate the Johnson Amendment, and this is another step towards that.
Tax the churches.
They don't want to obliterate it that way. They want to keep the church's tax-exempt status. They just want to let them...
I was reading there's over 300,000 religious congregations in the U.S. that don't pay any federal, state, local, or property taxes. It's like $600 billion worth of property taxes we don't get.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous.
It is, yeah. Oh, heck. In churches that provide pastors... a parish, a church-owned house. There's no property taxes on that either.
Ridiculous, man. You got these poor people barely making it, scrimping and saving, but they got to pay their taxes just like anybody else. You got Joel Osteen and the Pope.
And pastors also get to deduct their rent or mortgage from their income.
Oh, that's even worse.
Not their mortgage.
It just keeps going. It just keeps getting worse.
Not their mortgage interest, but the entire mortgage.
Oh, God.
It's the parish exemption because, since the church isn't giving the pastor a house, you still shouldn't have really any taxes there.
Tax the fucking churches.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I said just burn it down.
Well, we can turn them into homeless shelters. We can find a use for them. We don't need to burn them.
They make good bars.
Oh, they do make good bars. I like your thinking.
Some of them make good concert
they make
halls.
Awesome bars. That's yeah.
Let's just put
Event
that out there. Let's
centers.
turn all the churches into
Turn
bars.
each one into a community event center.
Yeah.
Even better. We'll
Yeah.
have game nights.
Heck, at the rate things are going, I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the century, most bars in London and Portland are going to be, or excuse me, most churches in London and Portland are going to be bars.
That'll be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Boise, they'll probably mostly be Mormon churches, but
Yeah, it's kind of hard to turn a steakhouse into a bar.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do with all their Boy Scout rooms?
Well, they're going to use their own.
Oh, that's right. They're creating
scout
their own
program.
scouting group. That's right. Next, we have Maria Butina, the 29-year-old Siberian accused of being a Russian spy. She has been indicted for being a Russian agent. She came to the U.S. as a graduate student under direct funding from a high-level executive for Russia's central bank, who is considered a Russian government agent and is a close personal friend of Vladimir Putin. He was her handler, and she, using sex, friendliness, or who knows what else, managed to infiltrate the NRA, the National Prayer Breakfast, and the religious right in general.
I kind of admire this woman. Like this would be a really badass movie. I'm pretty sure. It's got everything. It's got sex, it's got violence, it's got guns, it's got politicians being blackmailed.
Scarlett Johansson. I vote Scarlett
Yes.
Johansson.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'd go for that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Done. Let's put it together.
Did this just turn into a Black Widow movie?
Why not? Why not?
Could we flip it around to Scarlett Johansson infiltrating Russia?
There you go.
Infiltrating
Not
the
my country.
anti-gay groups, anti-gay groups. Okay,
Yep.
that's mainly what they've got in Russia right now, it seems like.
Don't forget the anti-gay groups, though.
Oh, yes, there's also those.
Yeah.
Well, there's the Muslim anti-gay groups,
Oh, that's different. Yeah.
and then there's the anti-Muslim groups.
And there's the gay Muslims against anti. I don't know.
Oh, man. All right, so anyway, so
You guys are awful.
she helped Alexander Torshin get into and attend NRA conventions. You know, this is part of the evidence that the NRA has become a front for the Russian government, and is part of why I think if you are an American and you consider yourself a patriot and you are a member of the National Rifle Association, you must resign in protest.
Oh,
Good luck with
absolutely. If you're still a member of the NRA, you really have to, like, are you doing it because you're patriotic?
Or are you just a fucking traitor?
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that?
It's at that point. And man, the National Prayer Breakfast, like, she was trying to get Putin into the National Prayer Breakfast.
These people are easily manipulated as it is. I mean, they believe in talking snake, for crying out loud. So, I mean, how hard is it to say Donald Trump's a great guy? Oh, and so is Putin, you know? I mean, They believe in talking donkeys, snakes, guys coming back from the dead, floating people. I mean, it's just nuts.
Yeah, she did get Torshin into the National Prayer Breakfast and said that a new relationship between two countries always begins better when it begins in faith. And
That's
she,
such a stupid word.
yeah, she later emailed an organizer thanking him for a gift and for the, quote, very private meeting,
Oh,
in quotes, after the breakfast.
Gross.
wink, wink.
Scarlett Johansson's got a sex scene coming up.
It's got everything, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Oh, man. Dig more into this one because it is nuts. It is absolutely nuts.
Nut busting.
Oh,
Whoa,
boom.
yeah.
And the award goes to...
Yes. See, somebody thinks I'm clever. Dustin.
I think you're clever. Okay, and finally, we have Janet Medford's program on American Family Radio, which again, if you haven't figured it out, attaching family to something means hate. Yeah, it just means hate.
Yeah.
It often means crazy. Family bookstores sell Christian bullshit. Family radio spews, well, this kind of bullshit.
Many will listen to us talking about these things and say, yes, but what possible spiritual reason would the devil have for manifesting himself as some Bigfoot-like creature in the Northeast? What could possibly be the reason that the devil might be motivated to make an appearance, even if it's a UFO or an alien that somebody sees? Why would the devil do this?
This was so good, we didn't even have to include the answer. Just the fact that the question had to come up.
Oh, man. Oh, she's nuts.
She's not. She's just asking.
She was interviewing Tim Daly, who wrote a book about Bigfoot, UFOs, and the devil.
Fantastic.
Okay, but there's one thing I need to start out by clarifying. Bigfoot does not live in the Northeast. Bigfoot is a native of the Cascades of Oregon, Washington, and southern British Columbia. Anybody who claims that there is a Bigfoot in the Northeast is a liar, and that is a hoax. They are only found in the Pacific Northwest.
And only when they want to be found.
And only if you are drinking moonshine or smoking a shit ton of pot.
Even then.
Or if somebody dresses up in an ape costume.
There you go.
Or bear costume. Or, yeah.
Fucker, do you require assistance? Oh, man. Bigfoot, here's to you.
Yeah. So apparently people in New England have started getting bear costumes and running around campgrounds.
That's dangerous.
Church camps. They're going after church camps. That would be awesome. That's genius. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
It's Satan. Harry Satan.
Okay, and UFOs, we're also including this. They're also real. They're the devil.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting there is if you listen to Ono, Ross, and Carey's Summer of UFOs that they did last year, the UFO movement is very, very Christian.
I think it comes down to that education thing again.
Yeah, there it is. Education and beer.
Uh-huh.
I just like to argue that the fact that something is an unidentified flying object does not inherently make it like paranormal in any way. It is merely like a jet can be an unidentified flying object if your radar picks up something but doesn't pick it up as a jet. So they're misusing the term for one. Take back UFO.
I have seen UFOs. I have usually assumed them to be planes or satellites because the patterns.
Call them down?
These the patterns with them definitely looked like a plane or a satellite. If it blinks and you can't identify it, it's probably a plane. If it doesn't blink and you can't identify it,
Satan.
It's probably a satellite.
Bigfoot.
Odds of it being Bigfoot flying in a UFO.
Holy shit, Bigfoots fly?
In UFOs.
It's terrifying.
Didn't you know they're pot-smoking hippie aliens? That's why you only find them in the mountains.
Is that what? Did one land in Wyoming? Is that where Waiting for Wrath Shay came from?
No, he's a Yeti.
Oh, that's right, cousin.
Yetis are from Eurasia. Yeah.
Good times.
I actually had a guest who surprised me with the alien thing. But it wasn't that they were bad or devils. It was that they were angels.
That's yeah. Well, I mean, that was what that whole suicide tail bop thing was, right?
Oh, yeah.
They all thought that the aliens. I mean, they're.
I forgot about that.
God/aliens were coming to get them.
What was that? Did they all wear the same shoes or something?
No, that was another one.
No, they all wore tracks. They all wore the same track suits, the same shoes. They all had shaved heads, and they all the men castrated themselves.
Suicide.
Oh, for Christ's sake!
Yeah, they were also 12 miles from where I was when that happened.
Wow.
I was down in Oceanside for spring break, and they were over in one of the nearby towns.
Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate. Oh,
we can both Google.
I didn't Google.
Oh, I missed that we were looking for that.
I was.
Oh.
I was thinking of it the whole time. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, man.
It was bugging me.
1997. Oh, what a great year.
Oh, nice date. Yep.
Oh, man. And Hellbop was beautiful.
Oh my God, it was. I mean, I was pretty young, but I remember that.
I got
seared in my brain.
I got a really good view of it from Bishop, California that was right before going to Death Valley. Oh, no, it was good. It was good.
Oh, they did wear Nikes.
What color? White?
I don't know. I'm not going to go into this any further.
But
I'm not going down this rabbit hole right now.
The most interesting Christian UFO explanation I've heard allegedly was what, by the time I got to Walla Walla, he was a then former theology professor. They'd had a big scandal about heresy getting taught in the School of Theology at Walla Walla. And the guy they put in charge of the investigation became the dean at the end. Half the staff had gotten... Well, the dean at the start of it got demoted. And several professors got fired, and a bunch of new ones got brought in. And one of the ones that got fired apparently had a pet theory that all the pagan gods of old were actually just aliens.
Oh, of course. Makes perfect sense.
It really actually does. I mean, totally. It fits in with... That's why they made it like a major plot in the Thor movies. Because it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who else could it be? I mean, come on.
Aliens.
Jesus? Come on.
Aliens.
Gotta be aliens.
You have to do the hand motion, too. Aliens.
Always. Aliens. Every time you say that word, it has to.
Oh, man.
It's great for radio, too. Aliens.
Yeah, right? Non-visual medium.
Come on, guys, get along.
You all know we're doing it.
All right. Well, it's time for a break. We have a little bit of feedback, and then we'll get into the interview. We love hearing from our listeners. You can email us at contact@atheistnomads.com, tweet us @atheistnomads, send us a message on our Facebook page at facebook.com/atheistnomads, or better yet, call us and leave us a message at 541-203-0666. We might even play it on the show. You can also help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcast directory of choice. All right, I think I'm finally caught up on feedback, so please send us more.
Yes.
We like having feedback. So Randy via Facebook about episode 258. This is when we were talking...
Randy!
This is when we were talking about the Orthodox men causing problems on airline flights. And he wrote, heard something on the news about 1 in 5 airline stewardesses have witnessed sexual assault. I actually, for a moment, thought maybe some women might want to be seated away from men. I hate this idea, but what are your thoughts?
That's an interesting...
Maybe they should get their own plane.
Well, I mean, that's what our conclusion was about the religious men.
Yeah, I mean, and buy your own plane. I mean, I don't know. You can't
do, people who have suffered trauma, you don't want to further victimize them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, public transportation, you're always going to have...
that possibility.
What drives me, what bothers me more about that statistic is the fact that people allow this to be done. This is very public areas that these assaults are happening. Subways, buses, planes. Yeah. There is no chance that somebody's getting away with this not being seen. So it's the responsibility of everybody involved to speak up and say something, even if it makes you appear to be a jerk or, not minding your own business.
Like, I've never been on a flight with fewer than 20 people, and those are little puddle jumpers. Big planes, there's hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should not be. Yeah. Don't victimize the victim further. Punish the person who's kick him off the plane.
Now,
Get out of there.
When we discussed this on that episode, because I brought up the idea of should we be able to allow people to express preferences on who they're seated next to. And we all agreed in the end that's bad because it's going to go bad places.
True.
If you allow people to request, like Mike Pence, he won't eat with a woman without his wife present.
He's an idiot.
I would assume he would have a problem with flying on a plane sitting next to a woman unless his wife is there.
Oh, I'd love to sit next to Mike Pence. That would be fun.
But if
would I, but that stupid bitch wife is a cock blocker. No, ew, that's gross. I would never. He must have his wife with him all the time.
Oh.
Now, okay, so one way that it would seem like it'd be like the one logical way of setting up would be, okay, if you mark on when you're booking your flight that you are a woman, you then have an option of, are you willing to be sat next to a man, yes or no? I have a feeling too many women would say no, not willing to sit next to a man.
Yeah.
And that it would make seating people very difficult. You could leave it to where you have to opt in with text, but then that requires somebody to actually actively be involved in looking at the request. And that'd require the airline to hire people, and they're not going to do that.
No.
And if we
actually charge you extra.
Yeah. And if we actually extend it to all the people things that people might not want to sit next to somebody for. Okay, I don't want to sit next to anybody who has children with them. Don't want to sit next to anybody, any women or any men or any gay people or any black people or old people.
Fat, smelly people.
Well, I vote no one has to sit next to children. I think that's a great idea.
I know. I even have a kid. I would be like, nah, stick that in coach.
But that's why I don't want to. I got two. I don't want to sit next to somebody else's kid. Holy cow, man.
Oh, man. One of the reasons why I changed seats 5 times on one flight. And one of the reasons I did was Dad wanted to trade seats with me so he could sit next, on the other end of his 3 children. I was happy to make that switch.
Great idea. That's a good choice, man.
Yeah. So anyway, thoughts on it? It would be complicated. It'd be messy. It is a great idea, but
not realistic in the least.
Don't think it'd work well.
No.
And then also from Randy, this time via Twitter. So he hit us up on Facebook for episode 258, Twitter on episode 260. Great Dustin off the degree. I've been following Penn Jillette as he prepares for a 21-day water-only and doctor-supervised fast. I once did a 3-day fast, and it was awesome. Penn may be doing it for a mystical experience.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. I missed the part that it was a water-only fast. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I know he's a big guy.
If I don't eat for if I don't eat for 4 hours, I get angry. I can't even imagine.
A 3-day fast, you're going to get kind of mystical.
That's your brain shutting down.
Your higher
you might start believing in Jesus.
Yeah, your higher cognitive functions start shutting down. I have a hard time believing that a doctor is actually going to supervise a full 21 days because that's nuts.
Is that even possible?
That is the maximum extent.
Science.
But
starving yourself better every day.
But starving yourself for 21 days on just water, that is really dangerous and damaging.
Yeah, I don't know what doctor would allow for that.
Right. Why would he even try to do that?
A very well-paid celebrity doctor would, obviously.
So, Mike, tell us about why did you start your podcast?
Why did I start? Well, I read the Bible, and I came up with a lot of questions that I didn't hear people asking. So I wrote them down. I started writing a book. I was like, I'm going to make this a book. The Bible says what the book. This is going to be fantastic. And then I realized, well, I should probably talk to pastors about this since they're the ones that are teachers and they're not going to read my book. How am I going to get to talk to pastors? So I just started calling them. And then I started messaging them. And then
God, you sound like the most annoying person in the world.
I was for the long. I still am. None of them don't like me, but it's they don't really look into their own beliefs, and that's where I come in. They don't look into their own book. They don't look into their own stories. I mean, they preach from this damn thing. They teach others, but they don't even know what's in it. So,
is that where I went wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? Other people probably want to listen to this. This would be something that I would want to listen to. And here we are. And 12 episodes later, holy shit. And I'm on, 13 going strong. So
nice. All right. So how many different denominations have you interviewed pastors from?
Holy shit. Like some of them I didn't even know until I got into the conversation. It's like, oh, you believe that? Oh, okay.
Oh, you're real crazy. Okay. Hold on. Let me record this.
Oh, like shit. So there's so many of those where it just takes it to the next level. I wasn't even prepared. It's like, wait, did you just say aliens? And hands in the air. But yeah, it's just you never know what you're going to get. And these pastors are the stars of the show, man. So
what
kind of denominations? A Mormon. I got another rabbi coming up. Rabbis are the funniest ones, man. They laugh at their own shit.
Oh man, we had one when we got the Capitol Steps on the National Day of Prayer and did National Day of Reason. We got the rabbi of the Boise synagogue to come and speak about how much we need reason and kind of hinting less prayer.
That's fantastic.
It was awesome. Yeah.
He's a pretty cool fella.
He's a definite ally of ours in the area.
Cool. It's always good to have those.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh yeah, rabbis are fun.
Rabbis are fun. So are Mormons.
Really?
Oh man, they just go all over the place. I don't know if you guys listened to Daniel Johnson. He was one of my favorites, man. I don't think he had much fun on the show, but I had fun with him. That's for sure.
Well,
you've been practicing that maniacal laugh, haven't you? That was good.
Well, you get kids, you got to practice your maniacal laugh.
Your villain laugh.
Yeah, you're grounded.
Oh man,
no.
But no, with the Mormons, are you just interviewing Mormon bishops or regular lay people?
Yeah, anybody that see, I was starting off, I was just going to do pastors, but there's so many people that want to be on the show that aren't just pastors. They're religious leaders in other ways, or they're authors, or they're ex-pastors, shit like that. So at one point, I just decided, if you believe the Bible to be true, and then you can be on the show.
Okay.
I mean, let's debate. Let's have a conversation. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, But most of them, man, I tell you, I start off the conversation thinking it's going to go one way, and aliens. So fucking nuts. But it's a lot of fun, dude.
Have you had? So are you going more for an interview or just a debate or a conversation?
All of the above, dude. That just depends on where it goes.
Okay.
Some of them start off as just conversations and they turn into the hardcore debates. Some of them just end with the pastor saying, "I'm done," and hanging up the phone. So it just depends on the person on the other line.
Okay,
how long they're willing to hang on.
That then answers my next question, which was, do they ever turn adversarial? And okay, that's an obvious yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We got a few of them, but my favorite ones are the ones that pray for me.
Oh,
do you just laugh when they say that?
Oh, yeah. A couple of times I try to interrupt and ask questions during the prayer. Like, how does that work? But they just continue on their way. They feel better in the end. I got to say my piece, I guess, and they got to say theirs.
Oh man. Hey, what kind of questions do you ask?
It's usually how the
what's
conversation.
What's your fallback? What's your best question that you ask the most often?
Oh, where is the love? That is my favorite one. Where's the love in the Bible, man? They can't show it to me. When you ask them that question, they freeze, and it's like their brain just does not compute. Jesus, well, let me go to Jesus. Hebrews 9:22, without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness. That's disgusting. So Jesus had to die. Mm-hmm. So Yahweh was able to forgive people. That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. That's not loving at all. There's no love in the Bible, and they can't point to anything. Their deity kills children. He makes children suffer. He drowns them. He starves them. He sends wild animals after them. It's fucking disgusting. And they worship this thing. They don't know. They don't know what's in their own book.
Oh, even if you go with the forgiveness requires blood, Jesus didn't stay dead.
Yeah, right?
So is it torture that pays for sins?
And how much torture does it pay for this then,
So then are the Catholics right that, if you are a generally good person and you suffer enough, you get into heaven?
Yeah, well, it depends on how you read the Bible. That's what's so damn dangerous about it, is you can take it any way. That's why you've got all these different denominations, Schisms.
Well, and why you...
Are you doing the hand motion when you say that? I totally envision that now. That's the new thing.
That's good for radio, I tell you.
That's so good for radio.
That's also why there's so many atheists who are seminary educated.
True.
Oh, yeah.
In order to really battle the bad ideas that these people have, you have to dive into their ideas and see what they believe and attack from within, I guess, in a sense.
Have any of them actually admitted to not being a non-believer but preaching anyway?
No, that would be a good one, though.
Yeah. I bet that happens a lot, but nobody's willing to actually admit it.
Oh, yeah. Anybody shaky? Actually, no. The shakier your faith, the louder you fight.
Right. The stronger those faith-filled walls become.
Yeah. No, I can remember. I can remember the time when I spent 2 hours trying to argue why a friend from college who had gone over to the Four Square Church was wrong and needed to come back to the Adventist Church when I wasn't even sure if salvation was a thing.
Oh, Jesus. But I'll argue it.
I didn't argue salvation. I just argued doctrine.
That's people who argue the specifics.
Yeah.
True too.
Oftentimes miss out on the big picture.
Yeah, it's all about the details with some people.
Well, it's not that they miss out on the big picture. It's that they can't handle the big picture.
They can't face it. Can't handle the truth.
No. Oh, man. Yeah, they can't handle what's actually in their book. I love the scissor Christians, the ones that don't like it and they cut it out, you know? Oh, I don't like that story. My God didn't do that. But dude, he says he did it right here. No, that's not him. Oh, okay. That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, man.
Yeah, religion.
So have you had any that have gone anywhere that you regretted?
No, there have been some that go off on things that I have no clue what they're talking about. But from there, I can usually just go back to the Bible. Let's go back to the Bible, guys. I don't know what you're talking about, but let's go back to some Bible verses. I'll ask you some questions on that. But yeah, no, they don't really go anywhere I don't want them to. Okay. Pretty easy to... well, the one I have coming up next, episode 13, her name is Joy. She's fantastic. The shit that comes out of her mouth is just amazing. I don't understand where she gets her ideas. I don't even remember where I was going with this. What did you ask me?
Have there been any that you've regretted? Where it's gone?
Yeah. No, but it definitely takes those turns for the. It throws you for a loop, and you don't know what to say, you know. And I'm a new podcaster. I don't know. I'm new to interviewing people. You know, I talk with kids all day long. You know, so when somebody goes off the deep end, I don't know what to say. I just kind of let them go. Like, I'm just going to step in right now. That doesn't make any sense. So, you know, it's all new to me. It's all new to me.
Yeah. No, I was surprised. About a year ago, we did an interview, and I've interviewed probably 150 people at this point.
Yeah.
I know how to do an interview, and we're getting in, and I finally reached the point where I called the guest a racist.
Wow.
And yet I still continued the interview.
Nice.
I'm not sure.
Well, at least you got what you wanted to say off your chest.
Like, it's one of those where it's kind of weird with, you know, when people are spreading bad ideas and you're giving them a platform, are you contributing?
Not if you call that bad idea out. That's how I feel anyways. As long as you call that bad, like you did, the racist, man. If he's a racist, point it out. You're exposing him. You're not really giving him a platform.
Yeah.
It's wishy-washy.
I think it also kind of depends on the format of your show. Like, you have a show where that's what people are expecting.
True.
People listen to hear the wacky ideas of Christians.
Yeah.
And my response.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Never a dull moment at BSW, I tell you.
Oh, man. So where can people find your show?
I can be found on iTunes, YouTube, what's that stuff called? Podbean. Just search The Bible Says What? 1 exclamation and then a question mark. And you can usually find me there. You can contact me at bswthepodcast@gmail.com. I love getting feedback and interview suggestions. Those are always fun. Send me pastors, man. Send religious leaders my way.
Slick.
Slick. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, man, that would be so amazing.
Actually, definitely. I don't know if he would go on as a guest on an atheist podcast. He likes to get atheists on his radio show.
I'll do it. I will promote the shit out of that.
He wants to be in control.
Right, because it's like his debates, he never gives you time to like look up answers or to like look up resources. That doesn't work. So right. he tries to...
He gish gallops.
He does what?
I think I'm ready.
Gish gallop.
Gish gallop.
It's a Christian apologist. Last name of Gish. Forget his first name. He was notorious for, in a debate, often with an atheist, he would just throw out as many ideas as possible and make sure that more things were said than could be responded to by a reasonable person.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then you win more points because they can't respond to almost anything you say. Therefore, you're right, you win.
Yep. That's, yeah.
Yeah, Slick does
I don't care. I'm ready.
He's pumped. Sunday.
Sunday. Oh, man, that'd be so cool.
All right, so this wraps it up for the main episode. Would you be willing to stick around for a little longer for patrons?
Sure, yeah.
Mike, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I've had a blast. Thank you, guys.
And listeners, remember, not all those who wander are lost.
Schism.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/atheistnomads. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.